Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.
All right, take break. 19 focus. 097.
I'm hot, but nobody's going to hear me if the mic's not on. Welcome in. It is the NBA tip-off show here, powered by WagerTalk.com. I can't believe it. Where are we on a Thursday? And there's only about 3 games on the card here tonight, coming off of a 13-game craziness last night. But have no fear, we're going to break down all 3 games for you. We're going to do it with the Thursday crew. Welcome in. Skee Profit in the house, of course, because the Lakers won. Skee's here. Teddy Covers in the house for a triumphant return, and Mr. Rob Vino is back in the cleanup spot here. And Skee, my man, we missed you yesterday, but talk to us. What was your day like in the association? 13 big games last night. How'd you do, and what do you got lined up at Wager Talk tonight?
Yeah, maybe I overwhelmed myself with so much information. I only played 1 game. I just couldn't get there with all the rest of them, and I probably should have. But the game I chose, it lost. So I doubled up on Memphis, and I went 0-2. So I was on the run. Now I've won 9 of my last 12. I got to get back on track.
All right, let's do it, man. And no better night than to do it with the interesting 3 games that we have on the board here. And Teddy, it was underdogs last night, 7-6. I believe 6 won outright. So the underdogs, they were certainly barking last night. What do you got lined up for us tonight, though, at Wager Talk and SportsMemo.com?
I got a goose egg tonight. It has not been a great week, to put it mildly, for myself and my clients. We gave out a free winner yesterday on the show with the Bulls. Unfortunately, that was not a service play. And the service play on Miami wasn't any fun, and the service play on Toronto wasn't any fun. So a little bit frustrated today. Nonetheless, Joe, we've been doing this for a while. You're going to have ebbs and flows. And unfortunately, I had a stinker last night. So I'm passing on tonight's card in the NBA. None of the 3 games jumped at me. We'll be back in action in the association, more likely than not, with Friday's loaded slate. I already got a handful of games that have popped out to me. We were just talking about them before we came on here.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Listen, knowledge is power, and you don't necessarily have to play every game or every day, but you can learn a little something each and every time they hit the court here, Rob Vino. And how'd it go last night for you, and what do you got lined up for us over at WagerTalk.com tonight?
No, it's been good in the last few days, Joe. NBA 7-2 with a push last 10 plays. Last night, one of the bad ones, Teddy mentioned it. I did have Miami first half -2.5, so the SOBs go out and win by 2, right? Leave you hanging by a half. But LA got the win, so good for them. But NBA's been good as of late. And when you have in excess of, 200 bettable college basketball games over the last 3 days, I guess you don't have to play every game in the NBA. But we've got NFL and college football tonight. I'm involved. NBA, I'm still sitting on one, trying to talk myself into it or out of it. I'm not sure which way I'll go, but keep checking. It might show up on WagerTalk.com.
All right, guys. That's the way you got to go here. But interesting 3 games tonight. Let's dive into them, and we'll start with the Toronto Raptors, as wasn't a good night for them in Boston last night. They're on their way to Philadelphia. It opened up as a 2-point Philly favorite, and I think I'm seeing 4s now, it appears, in the marketplace. I'm also seeing the totals come down to 210, 210.5. And Skee, I'll come to you. Teddy and I were talking yesterday about the return of Siakam there, and we figured it was going to take them a little while to get back into the swing of things and work him in. And It didn't work out all that great offensively the last couple of games, but it doesn't look like he's going tonight. So might this be a time for you to hop on Toronto?
Yeah, I kind of felt that same way. I know I didn't talk to you guys yesterday, but I felt the same way about Siakam coming back. Tonight, Tobias Harris comes back. So he has to get back in rhythm coming back from COVID. So maybe you get the same kind of deal over there in Philly. Earlier this morning, I probably was leaning Philly before I know he was playing. But maybe Toronto just gets their rhythm back with the guys that they've been rolling with. So it's a game I'm not going to play myself, but if I had to, gun in my head, it would be Toronto.
What are you thinking here, Teddy? We talked about Toronto yesterday, but they've had their own issues in Philadelphia here, too. Very limited as far as depth goes. So is there a side that you'd favor here tonight in this matchup?
Well, no, it's 3 straight losses for the Raptors. They had the 1-point loss to the surging Cleveland Cavaliers, who covered again last night by the hook. But they followed up with the loss of the last 2 games to Brooklyn and Boston. And in both those games, you can point the finger at the same culprit. And I know that Siakam was back in the lineup and there was some adjustment there. But you say, where has the adjustment hurt Toronto? In their 3-point shooting. They were 7 of 31 against Brooklyn. They only hit 6, which was a season low at the time. They only hit 6 against Boston last night. So when you talk about the pendulum swinging for 3-point shooting, Toronto's been on the wrong end of that in each of the last 2 games. I don't expect that to be a long-term problem for the Raptors. And with Siakam sitting this evening, maybe they find some of the offensive rhythm they lost when he got back into the lineup. I know this. I can't lay with Philly right now. Okay, I understand that they are likely to have Tobias Harris back in the lineup this evening, but they're not going to have Embiid. Don't know if they're going to have Curry. The Thibault is hurt, obviously, and we've seen them come back to earth where they win 6 in a row, and now they've lost their last 2 right here on this floor. It's not a team with a home court edge that stands out to me enough to want to lay with them this evening. Toronto or pass for this.
So what do you think here, Rob? The market says we pushing it down the total, so maybe some offensive issues for both of these teams tonight. You're in the Philadelphia area there. What's the word on the street about the Sixers here tonight?
Yeah, I just had to turn the volume down on one of the televisions above me here, Joe, because I was trying local show on right now, trying to see if I could get word on Seth Curry for the Sixers, but they haven't said anything yet. So we're not sure about him. But it's interesting when you point to the total because no Embiid and no Matisse Thybulle, it means no loss of offense with Embiid, but it means a complete loss of defense for this team. And the last 2 games that they played, or the 2 games this week that they played without Joel, since he hit the health and safety protocols, just listen to these numbers. Against the Knicks, 182 field goal attempts in that game. Against the Bucks, 198 field goal attempts in that game. Against the Knicks, 83s combined. Against the Bucks, 82 3-pointers combined. So it's been an all-out up-tempo shoot fest ever since these guys have been down. The Tobias Harris entering into the lineup tonight, as the 2 guys in front of me pointed out, that could lead to some difficulties here where offense is concerned. I'd like to see if Curry's going to play, but the point being that Philadelphia's taken on a much faster tempo since the absence of Joel Embiid and Matisse Thybulle, and certainly defensively they haven't been as good. Now, the totals in those 2 games were vastly different, even though the numbers were there for points. Against the Knicks, they only put up 199. Against the Bucks, 227. And they didn't even make a lot of shots in those games, guys. Only 45% of the potential points, 44, of the potential points were scored against the Bucks, and it still wound up 227. Toronto's just played way too slow this year for me. Remember, last year they led the NBA in fast break points. That's not the case this year. They're in the top 10, but they're not what they were. I really want to get to over 210.5 here, but I'm a little scared at this point, so I haven't pulled the trigger. But if I do get on this game, that'll be the way I go, over 210, because Philadelphia with Maxey at the helm has just been playing a lot faster.
All right, good stuff there, guys. That is game number 1 here tonight. Raptors at the Sixers. Let's move on to the Indiana Pacers. I don't know why anybody want to move on to Indiana Pacers, but the Pacers taking on Utah. And what is the word I'm looking for with the pick? Suck. I think that's a good word there, Teddy, which is what, if you've been backing Indiana, expecting the talent to rise to the occasion, well, they couldn't beat the Denver team last night without the Joker in the lineup. Actually, the shorthanded Denver Nuggets there last night. But now they got to go take on Utah, which is even more difficult than 9. It was the opening number here, along with the total of 219 here. And I am seeing 10.5s, 10s in some spots with a 215 and a half number, Teddy. So is there any universe that you can back Indiana here in this spot here on a back-to-back?
Sure, I can do it in this universe.
Nice.
Because the Pacers, you're saying they suck, and I'm going to disagree with that. They're okay. Indiana doesn't suck. They're not a buy. They're not Orlando. They're not Detroit or Houston or OKC way at the bottom. The Pacers are a decent team. Indiana hasn't been winning a whole lot of games, but look what they're losing. They lose by 3 to Denver. And look, how many times do we say it? The star sits, everyone lays down, the other team steps up. It's not like their loss to Denver last night is like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. They lost by 3. They lost by 4 to Portland. They lost by 3 to Toronto. They lost by 7 to Brooklyn. They lost twice by a single point to open the season. They're in every game. Every game. The only game that they got blown out all year was the one game at Toronto, and that was back in October. I mean, literally, they've been in every game. They're not closing, and that may well happen here. Now, Utah's been a one-way team for me this season. I've been betting on the Jazz or leaving the game alone, and I'm in no rush to step in front of Utah. My power numbers have them as, if not the best team in the NBA, certainly amongst the very highest grouping of teams in the NBA. And yet, you're not getting a whole lot of point spread bargains here going against a Pacers team that just hangs tough. So if I'm playing, I'd take the points with Indiana before I laid it. With Utah, if you wanted to lay with Utah, probably should have done that last night before this line got to double digits.
Yeah, 10 and a half now across the board. So what about it, Rob? Teddy says they don't suck, but mediocrity sucks. But what do you think? I mean, they're a mediocre team that probably should be better based upon their lineup. But Teddy brings up a good point. Can you trust Utah here to lay double digits?
My first observation is Robert Harris has either become deaf or he's asleep and not paying attention to this show, because Teddy just threw the Houston Rockets in the barrel of sucks in the NBA, and I'm the only one who gave him a buzzer. Robert must be asleep on that couch I see him on all the time. He let that one go. It's the second. Not only is it back-to-back, Joe, for Indiana, but it's back-to-back in altitude. So that makes it a little bit tougher on the Pacers, although their depth is not really a concern here. Malcolm Brogdon came back last night, re-entered the lineup, and of all the guys we've talked about that came back where their teams didn't perform well, Malcolm Brogdon did perform well. He was the best guy on the floor for Indiana last night. He needs a little bit of help from his mates. Denver slowed them down. That's not particularly the way Indiana wants to play. They outshoot Denver last night field goal percentage-wise, but they get beat at the free throw line. They get beat at the three-point line. They get beat in rebounding. So they lost just about everything else that's important to winning a basketball game. Here, again, Utah shoots the three so well, and Indiana's not a great three-point defense. That I was a little confused by the total coming down here. I generally like to jump on Indiana as an over team in the second of back-to-backs where their defense could lag if there's tired legs. Utah certainly could take advantage. Utah's not one to slow down the pace. But what stops me in my tracks from doing that is just the way that Quinn Snyder has kind of reversed course and taken Utah back to a defensive-minded team. They were defensive-minded. Then in the bubble, they kind of gave that up, played offensively. I think back and Tony Finn told us that they wanted to go quicker. They did for a year. And now it's kind of a little bit different, but they're so efficient on offense that I still think this game's going to find its way over. Indiana's not going to be held under 100, I don't think, if they get any kind of shooting out of the rest of their cast. And I don't think they're going to stop Utah here. So I might be a little contrarian here, Joe. We don't do contrarian totals, but maybe I could go contrarian total and say Indiana, Utah over the number.
I love the angle there, Rob. By the way, those of you just joining us, our producer Robert is a big Houston Rockets fan. And poor guy, he's very defensive about his Houston Rockets. So every time in the show somebody takes a shot at them, he usually buzzes them. But I'm being told that they lost to Detroit last night, Skee. So the buzzer apparently, there's no way he can buzz anybody about the Houston Rockets after losing to Detroit. So he's got to, I love it. Absolutely love it there. But talk to me about Indiana here, man. And I'll give Teddy, it's interesting, a quote from Sabonis who said that we had a couple of days off and playing in altitude got us a bit there last night as that game went on. He said it's not an excuse, but, it's true here. So here they go. More altitude tonight, Skee. Might you want to take the points here with Indiana?
I don't think so. I mean, it's kind of been their role so far. I have them as 3-1 as a road dog, but I think Utah is a little bit more focused right now, and I wouldn't really want to step in front of them. I'm not sure if I talked about it here, but the other day, Utah, the coach, he kind of was calling out the team for lack of defense in transition because they're doing too much complaining to the refs. And Donovan Mitchell followed it up and said the same kind of deal. And that's why they lost 2 games in a row. And you saw they came out and handled, I forget who it was. I had to play on them -8, but they handled whatever team they was handily. So I think they still have that same focus to defense. And both teams are playing at bottom 10 pace over the last 5 games. Granted, I hear what Rob's saying. They've both been efficient. They're top 10 offensive rated teams. But I just feel like Utah's still going to be focused. So it makes me nervous because I don't trust Indiana's defense, but I would lean towards the under in an attempt to still make a play on Utah. I think the real play was Pacers team total under 105, but it's since dropped to 102. So under was the way I think I would go in this game.
Tough to back a team. They're 20th in bench points, this Utah team. So usually what happens when Donovan goes to the side that's where things start to go a little sideways there. But the 10.5 is a lot taking on this Indiana team here tonight. But get ready for it here, guys. I believe our tip-off there is 9 p.m. Eastern time in Salt Lake. So get ready for it. And then one other game here tonight, closer to 11 o'clock Eastern time, the Miami Heat taking on the L.A. Clippers here. And this just seems to be an awful spot here for Miami, especially they lost last night. They lost Jimmy Butler. They lost to the Lakers. They lost on a lot of levels here, Teddy. And meanwhile, the Clippers team, one of the hottest and playing some of the best basketball we've seen them thus far this year at home. Miami opened up as a 2.5. Still a lot of questions on who's playing, who's not playing here. But no Jimmy Butler. Bam is hurt. How do you approach this game? Total side?
I approach it with a big fat pass. That's how I approach it. And Miami, last night, Lowry goes 47 minutes. Duncan Robinson goes 45 minutes. Tyler Hero goes 42 minutes. You talked about the fact, look, let me start with this, all right? There aren't a lot of teams where I'm like, I'm not playing on that team unless this guy's in the lineup. But I'm not playing on Miami without Jimmy Butler. Okay, Jimmy Butler's the heartbeat of that team. And Jimmy Butler's the closer on that team, as we found out the hard way for all you with Miami Heat tickets in your pockets last night when Butler got hurt and a 9-point lead evaporated in the last 4 minutes of that ballgame as Miami took a fair few fruitless offensive possessions down the stretch. And that's what happens when Jimmy Butler isn't running the show. So, and it's not just Butler who's going to be out the team. We'll have to see, as you mentioned, on the second of back-to-backs, whether Spoelstra really empties his bench or not. But I would not be surprised to see more than one guy sit besides Jimmy Butler this evening. And you talked about the Clips playing good basketball right now. They are playing their best ball of the season. The problem with laying in this spot against the Clips is this same classic problem we've been talking about. What happens when the star sits? The star sits, the line goes up, The opposing team loses interest. Everyone else on the other team digs deep, and you have upset specials. It happens all the time in the NBA, and I would not be shocked to see the Miami Heat do that tonight. That said, I'm not comfortable enough to back the Heat without Butler. So for me, I can easily see a scenario where Miami wins. I can easily see a scenario where the Clips smack them around. And when you have those disparate results bouncing around in your mind, those are games that I tend to pass, like this one.
All right. It is a big fat P, Skee. That's it. A big fat P for Teddy. Pass this one here, but what do you think? Clippers, Paul George, seems like a low number. Do you think there's only one way you can look here, and it's the Clippers or not?
Well, I mean, if you like the Clippers, what have you been waiting for? If you're watching the games, you saw Jimmy Butler sprained his ankle and left the game. He's probably not going to play on a back-to-back, right? So I don't know what you're waiting for. You don't want to get in and get the worst of the line. So that's how I feel about the game. I made this play earlier this morning. I got him at -2.5. And so if you see my package there, I'm going to take it down after the show because it's getting up there to 6 at some shops. And if it gets north of 7, I probably would agree with how Teddy's feeling. Like they can probably cover a huge number. Like you see the overreaction all the time across all sports. We saw it with Joker yesterday. We saw it in the NFL. I forget what game it was, but we see it all the time. So I understand that angle. But to put numbers to something else Teddy said, Heat 7-13 without Jimmy Butler. I'm not putting my money on them without Jimmy in the lineup. And now you could be without Bam Adebayo and Hero too. They just got put up questionable on the injury report. Hero played 42 minutes yesterday. I know Bam only played 33, but they were both questionable yesterday. And if those guys are out, I have no interest in the Heat. The Heat, they haven't had a winning record on the road since like 2014. It's no secret. They're not a good team on the road. They've lost their last 5 games and failed to cover their last 5 games versus the Clippers. It's a one-way ticket for me.
All right, one-way ticket there. I mean, Rob, we talked about 3 games here tonight. We don't really do the contrarian sides here with this. But boy, I tell you, if there's ever a contrarian side, it looks like maybe the Miami Heat, regardless of Jimmy, might be the side to do it here. But how are you leaning here in this game?
Yeah, it's tough. I agree with everything everybody has said before me. The problem you have with the LA Clippers is even though they're on a 4-0 against the spread run, they're a team that can come out sleepwalking. And as Teddy mentioned, when you take a look at the opposing team and you see stars out of the lineup, and we don't know about Hero and Adebayo yet, but certainly Jimmy Butler, not a go here. The tendency is to go a little light or figure like you could just roll out the balls. From that perspective, Joe, I'll say this. Miami is 5-1 over the total in their last 6 games. 3 of the last 4 LA Clipper games because they've heated up offensively. They've heated up from the 3-point line. They're a far better 3-point shooting team than what they showed to start the season. But 3 of their last 4 games have totaled 226, 228, and 241. That's way above 210. And much like Philadelphia, who had 3/5 of their starting lineup out, these other guys come in and the pace quickens. If Adebayo doesn't go, there's 0 rim protection at all for Miami. I mean, if LA wanted to, they could probably get to 125 in this game, in an up-tempo style game. So there's a lot of questions here. I think even if Adebayo goes, this thing could get over because Bam would contribute points, even though he's some form of rim protection. The 3-point line would probably be unguarded here because Miami would be shorthanded. The hard minutes last night are certainly a concern for Miami. I guess in essence, it makes it difficult to play Miami under any situation unless you get Bam. I don't think you'll get Hero, but if you get Bam, and it might be worth a look now that they pushed the total down so far to play over. LA's on a real hot streak offensively, and guys want their numbers. So I could see that team making their way to 120 plus tonight.
All right, good stuff there. Let's. I believe Tyler Hero is somewhere in the vicinity of the arena. Apparently still trying to make a shot because he couldn't make them last night in overtime. Oh, there he is, Tyler Hero. Thank you very much. Way to continue to miss 27 shots wide open at that point. Oh, here he goes again. Thank you very much there, Rob. I appreciate that. But, guys, it is time. 60 seconds on the clock to figure out, of these 3 games, where might you be leaning? Is there a prop? Is there a side? Is there a total? Where are you looking here, Skee? Not a lot to choose from, but what we have, where might you be circling for us?
Like I said earlier, I made a play earlier, one play today, and it was Clippers early. I'll do my best VR impersonation. I feel like I've done my job. I made good bets, and if you become a subscriber, you can get those bets as soon as I put them out. But what I played today, the games that I'll be on, there's 2 of them. It's Clippers -2.5. I gave you a lot of reasons why you don't want to be on Miami. And my other bet for the day, it's not NBA, but I'll give it to you anyway. It's Lamar Jackson passing yards over 234.5. I bet that yesterday. I know some shops you can still get it, maybe 235.5. I saw this morning. Hopefully you can still get a number like that. Bet online is already up to 239.5. But I know he's gone over that number 7 or every game except for one. And the Dolphins allow 280 passing yards per game, and they've given it up every game except for one. So those are my bets today.
All right, there we go. I can tell you right now, it's down the road. Plenty of seats available for tonight's Monday Night Football match if anybody wants to be interested, because half of that stadium is going to be for the Ravens anyway. Teddy, talk to us. 60 seconds on the clock, my friend. Not a lot to choose from, but anywhere that you might have had circled.
Oh, no, we can start talking about Tyler Hero doing his best John Starks imitation last night, because that's the one, like whenever a guy misses 100 shots to cost you a game or to cost you a title, that's the one that always stands out to me. I was still a fan when John Starks was missing all those shots against the Houston Rockets in Game 7. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and look. Was that the 94 NBA Finals? Yeah, 94. No fun if you're a Knicks fan. That being said, of the 3 games on the card tonight, the one that would stand out to me would be Toronto plus the points. I know I lost with the Raptors plus the points last night. I think the absence of Siakam might help them a little bit in the 3-point shooting, where the pendulum has swung against them 2 days in a row. Well, no Embiid, no Tybalt. Maybe the 3-point shooting falls a little better for Toronto this evening. Raptors plus the 4 is the only way I could look.
All right, Raptors plus the 4. And there he is. There's Tyler right now, continuing to miss wide open shots there for you, Teddy. Rob Vino, 60 seconds on the clock here, my friend. I know you got something circled on the card here tonight. Where are you looking?
And I don't often do this, Joe, but with a short card side and total wise, I think what I just talked about last is the best play on the board, bar none, and that's the LA Clippers team total over 108. Miami, I just talked about how they've played overs with a full squad. In their last 6, they've gone over 5 times. Well, they've allowed their opponents to get over 110 or better in their last 4 games. The Clippers have scored 117 or better in 3 of their last 4. I mean, offensively, against a tired team, against a beat-up team, the Clippers shooting well right now, it all adds up to them getting over this number. It seems kind of low to me. I thought in my analysis prior that they could get to 120 or better. Only have to get to 109 to cash a ticket here. I think there's a stray 107.5 that I saw out there if you really shop well. So give me the LA Clippers team total over. I think that's probably the best play on the board.
Okay, actually, I love that. Teddy, let me ask you a quick question here, though. With a light card like this tonight, you got nothing, obviously, pregame. Is there a, maybe even in the Miami Heat game, maybe a in-game betting opportunity here, depending on what kind of start the Miami Heat get or the Clippers get?
Well, there's always in-game betting. There's always a chance. That's why we watch the game. That's why we play the games. But it's not a game where I'm going into it with the mentality, all right, if Team A gets off to a hot start, I'm going to back Team B, or if Team B gets off to a hot start, I'm going to take Team A. I don't have that preconceived notion going into that game in particular to give you any useful information about it.
I know Skee's waiting for the Dolphins to get out to a lead tonight. Then he's going to be hammering the Ravens and Lamar after that comes up for sure. How about it, Rob? Any in-game betting that you might be looking at with any of these three?
I don't know. Those things are all fluid for me, Joe. Obviously, when you have a big favorite, you hope they get behind early. And, if the Jazz get behind the Pacers early and that line comes down from 10.5 to 4.5 or 5, of course, you sit there and you bang Utah at home. So all fluid stuff. We'll wait and see what happens. But I guess Utah, to me, would be the best scenario. You would sit there and pray that Indiana gets off quick, tires in the second half because they're in altitude 2 nights in a row, and you wind up cashing a cheap price on Utah.
Great call there, Rob. Plenty of different ways, guys, to make it a profitable Thursday, but it starts, of course, by heading over there. Skee mentioned it, guys. The best way to do it is sign up 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages. You get the plays firsthand. You don't have to wait. Then you have an opportunity, of course, to grab the best numbers that way. So don't wait out. Weekend just around the corner. Huge weekend. In fact, college hoops, NBA, NFL, college football. 3-day, 7-day, 30-day all-access packages for Skee, for Teddy Covers, and, of course, Rob Vino are available. Not to mention, might be a couple of in-game opportunities coming up over the next few days as well. So, guys, hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Many more games to choose from tomorrow. So the NBA Tip-Off Show will be back again then, getting you ready for the weekend. In the meantime, on behalf of Skee, Teddy Covers, and Rob Vino, guys, we appreciate the time. Best of luck with your plays here tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow. We'll see you then.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.